Welcome to 5 Pints In, the show where we are literally 5 pints in. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, chaps.
All right, it's a little bit of a different episode this week. Ian is in London, so I'm here. Jordan, I'm with Connor, of course. How you doing, Connor?
What's up?
And then Ian, you're over there in London. So let's talk a little bit about, tell us a little bit about how it's been over there.
Well, I had a strange morning as soon as I landed. Last week we spoke about our pet peeves about the game, and I failed to mention one of the things I hate more than anything is when the players go over and talk to each other, or talk to the coach, or talk to the referee with the hand over the mouth. Like, what's happening there, you know?
Well, no.
Is it about to take a free kick? Do they think one of the defenders in the wall has got his mobile phone in his sock, and that his mate is watching the telly, and he's read the lips, and he's going to phone his mate in the wall and say, "This is what they're going to do"? No, where does that come from? I don't get it.
I know what it came from.
Where did it come from?
Players getting in trouble for swearing and people being able to read their lips.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they can, be as racist or swear as much as they want if they got their hand over their mouth.
Well, I don't think they're being racist.
I know, but they could say whatever they want. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you know what it is? If you've got like an Ashley Young who was the worst of all the weasels, you know when players run up to the ref and you see them moaning, Azpilicueta does it as much as anyone can. I'm not just taking Chelsea out.
I agree with you, yeah.
But Ashley Young used to do it.
I think
and
Ashley
you know
Young,
for a fact.
I think Ashley Young is covering his mouth so he doesn't catch any more bird poop in there, to be fair.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, that was a strange one. But I never see, if you're going over to the ref and you're covering your hand over your mouth, you can't be saying good things, can you?
Exactly.
You must be trying to say, we say all the time, don't gesture for a yellow card, don't put your hand in the air. They're probably doing the same thing, saying to the ref, that's a bad foul, you should book him. They can't be saying anything. If you've got to put your hand over your mouth, you must be doing something out of order.
Well, it's funny, though. I mean, I feel like they've almost inherited it from the NFL because the coaches will do that because the other team literally has players in the coaches in the stands with binoculars looking at what they're saying. Yeah. So it's like they've inherited it. I mean, it's so stupid.
How does he relay that to the other team now?
He has a headset on. They've actually got coaches that stand in the bird's eye view or whatever it's called. The bird's nest.
I know for a fact over here in the States, somebody has been banned from stealing signals.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It was more baseball. I think it was baseball.
Probably.
Yeah, but at the same time, look, how soon can they get a message to the players on the field when they don't wear headsets?
Well, that's what timeouts are for, What kind of sport is it?
I'm talking about the football now, mate. I'm talking about the Premier League.
Yeah.
I'm talking about how fast can they get a signal. You see them, 2 or 3 of them standing on a free kick with the hand over the mouth, or you see them walking off after the game, and some of them now put the shirts over the face as if, like, let's have a chat, but I can't talk to you after the game without the cameras picking something up.
Well, yeah,
everyone's getting cancelled and getting in trouble for everything.
I think half of it is the media as well. The media's sorry. The media's going to take one thing in and they could snip any little sentence out of it. And, it's how close the media is to the players now. I think it's weird.
Yeah,
I think
players can get cancelled.
Yeah, what? I don't know. I mean, I guess they could just talk later on, but it's...
But you tell me, is this taking it too far, right? I landed at Heathrow Saturday morning, looking forward to throwing my bags in and getting to the Emirates. And I rented a car, and I'm getting on the budget bus to go and get my car. And there's a fella sitting there. There was one fella sitting at the front. There was one fella sitting 2 rows from the back. And he looked like, a little bit posh. And he had his earphones in. He was on his phone. He was having a conversation already before I got on the bus. And he looked at me as I walked past him. And in all honesty, he sort of stared at me for a little longer than he should have. And there's only two reasons I think that happens. Is one is that he fancies you, or he recognises you. And I'd like to think that he recognised me, but I'm not sure.
Either that or Trevor Morley.
Easy, Tiger. Come on. You of all people. Anyway, so I went and sat at the back, and I'm sort of earwigging on the conversation. And I think he must have recognised, because every time he spoke, he put his hand to his mouth. So I thought, definitely something to do with football. How pathetic is that? He's sitting on a budget bus, and every time he speaks, as if I'm listening in, and I may tell somebody, it just must be habit for them now. So he looked like a referee. Yeah. And then I heard him talking. He said something about he'd been over to Italy and he's on his way back, and because of all the coronavirus, and it sounded like an official conversation, like he was talking to somebody high up within the refereeing circuit. And
was he sitting there doing the VAR TV signal to the bus driver?
Yeah, yeah, but the bus driver wasn't looking.
No.
He would have got it wrong anyway, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
So anyway, he's having this conversation, and every time he speaks, his hand is going to his mouth. I couldn't stop laughing to myself. Anyway, at the end of the conversation, he did say something along the lines that, it was Inter Milan, so he's probably supposed to go over there and referee a game, but because of the coronavirus, and now that he's back, he said, I've got to be put into quarantine and all this, and I'm thinking, it sounds really official. And at the end of his conversation, he went, all right, Mum, I'll speak to you soon. I burst out laughing. I swear to God. It makes me think, like, at Stockley Park, it's not a proper room with videos. It's somebody sitting in a shed at the end of his garden in the freezing cold.
With his hand over his mouth.
With his little monitor. And then there's a knock at the door and his mum has brought his tray of chicken soup.
Yeah.
And make sure you drink your hot chocolate.
It's funny, I thought I saw Mike Dean say, all right, Mum, in the United City game yesterday when he was on the microphone.
He could have done.
Yeah.
Anyway, the VAR for this week, what was it? I was like, listen to me, I was in the West Ham end for the Arsenal game, and I forgot what it was all about. I'll be honest with you, and I sort of lost myself a little bit. To be amongst the supporters, it was honestly, it was awe-inspiring for me. I sort of crept in a little bit without being noticed or recognised. I did buy my own tickets. Typical, true West Ham supporter, even though it was against Arsenal. I wanted to be amongst the fans, and I got in there, watched the first half without a lot really happening. I think West Ham had the chances to kill the game off, and and didn't. And I'm sure the soft underbelly of Arsenal, they would have crumbled if we had it done, But I got to half time, and while the injury time came along, I thought we'll go out and get a beer, and then that was it. I didn't get back till I think it was the 54th minute. I didn't get back to my seat because
they're still serving.
You're only 4 pints in and the whistle.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, you two. All right. No, I was actually recognised.
Yeah. Well, we've got a great video. We'll play the audio for it this one, and I think we will have the video up next time when you're back over here. We'll have the video podcast set up, but we'll play the audio in this video so you can listen to it. And we posted the video on Twitter, so.
Can you two sing along with it so it sounds like more people are singing?
Yeah, I just changed the lyrics though a little bit.
Oh, okay. All right, go on. So what happened was, we started getting pictures taken. The fans were sort of, they were brilliant. I forgot how much love I had for them people. It's just, the East Enders, typical, not you two, typical where I was brought up. You two are a little bit posher than me, but
we're like the guy
people.
on the bus.
Yeah,
yeah. You are. You're probably more his child.
I've actually got my hand over my mouth right now as we're talking.
Have you, mate? That's because you got bad breath, and Connor doesn't want to smell it. You've been drinking whiskey again.
Can you smell it through the microphone?
There's something gone, mate. It'll make me sick, that whiskey. You're definitely not mine if you're whiskey drinking.
Yeah,
anyway, so.
I will be honest. As a Chelsea fan, I'll say my favourite fans are probably West Ham fans. Because going to Upton Park, the amount of times we went, obviously, like people knew you, obviously, and
some of them did.
Yeah, some of them. Everyone's lovely there. They all want to talk to you, and they want to talk about actual football, and every conversation I was in, they always ask, because it's like they can smell it on you that you don't support West Ham, and they always ask, and they always, and when I would talk to them, they're like, who's your team? And I wouldn't shy away, I'd just say Chelsea. And they would go, you know what, I can respect that. Because I would tell them why I started supporting Chelsea. It was way before the money, way before any of that, and they respect good football talk, and that's why I would always love them and Liverpool fans. They're my favourite fans on the planet,
Yeah. Well, mate, to be honest with you, the banter that I had behind the goal with a lot of West Ham fans, things are going bad for the club, and I know there's protests going on, and that they have every right to be unhappy.
Yeah.
But it's still, they have time for the banter, and they have time for ex-players as well. I mean, the nice things that was said to me, just being amongst them, and the thing is, they said to me, we can't believe you stayed for so long. There must have been like over 100 pictures taken. I swear, I actually didn't want to leave and go back and watch the game. It was actually nice for me to have that feeling again. I've been so long out of the game, and you sort of forget. And some days you actually think, did it really happen? Because it was that long ago. But when you're in amongst it, and they pay you that respect, and I think if you've looked at me Twitter, the nice things that was said on there about, we're just normal people at the end of the day, and you get put on a pedestal, which I hope, and I'd like to say that I've never really done that myself. I've never really put myself on the pedestal. Coming away from England and being away for so long and getting away from the game, it is lovely to go back. And when you go back and get the sort of reaction that they gave me, it does make me miss my time and being around them each week and even in the bad times. I had 2 relegations, which wasn't pretty. We had to fight through it, and I'm sure they understand, because the majority of them have seen it before. Yeah, I still don't believe it's going to happen, and I do believe that they're worrying for nothing, because they will survive. I know for a fact. But just being amongst them, still cracking jokes, still taking the piss out of me while the game's going on, while the team's 1-0 down, and then afterwards, at the end of the game, sticking around while the players come over and applauded them, and they give their thanks to the players for the effort that they put in. And I'll never forget the time when City clinched the title at the Etihad against West Ham, and I was at the game. And the West Ham fans stayed then after the game to applaud the City team with the trophy. There really is no other fans like them, and it did make me want to come home, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's great being there. I mean, there's no other. I mean, the atmosphere there is crazy. I mean, I haven't been to the Olympic Stadium yet, but the Berlin ground, we were there a couple years ago. We were there with Steve Harris, actually, who will hopefully get on the podcast at some point if you can sort that out for us. But
no name dropping, son. No name dropping.
But I wonder.
Of the stars.
But I wonder if those West Ham fans remember the cracker I scored at half time when you took me on the field. Freaking blind.
was a good day, mate. I remember. How old was you? 4?
It was probably like 3 or 4, yeah.
3 or 4.
You were injured.
Was that a reserve game, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I stood in for you, you know, and filled the boots.
I think I do remember after you got scared when you heard the crowd that I had to change your nappy at half time.
Yeah, but they had to do that to you when you scored as well. So it's no different, like father, like son.
Happy days, mate.
So it sounds like you're having a good time over there, at least.
Well, a good time, mate. How can you say good time? Bournemouth lost, West Ham lost, Everton lost, Man City lost, and Carlisle lost 3-0 at home as well, which it doesn't make for a good first weekend, does it? Considering next weekend what I've got coming up: Bournemouth Saturday, West Ham Sunday, Everton Liverpool Monday, Man City Real Madrid Tuesday. Here's me thinking what a trip it's going to be. And I start off in the first 3 days with 5 defeats.
If you can just leave before the City Real Madrid game, I think I'd be
Cheers,
okay
mate,
with that.
okay.
If you bring in that bad luck.
Yeah, okay, mate.
Yeah.
No, well, you want me to miss? You asked me last week what was the game I was most looking forward to.
Yeah.
And it may have changed a little bit now because with Bournemouth and West Ham losing, I'm desperate for a Bournemouth win against Palace and a West Ham win against Wolves, which I think both will happen. I really do. The Everton-Liverpool thing, it's going to be the first Merseyside derby I've seen live since I think Liverpool beat Everton 5-0 at Goodison and Ian Rush got 4, I think. I think that was the last one. So the omens aren't good there neither.
Yeah.
But anytime you go to one of them games, it's up in the air what happens, you know. Hopefully it'll be like the old derbies. It'll be a little bit fiery. I know people don't fly in like they used to anymore, but there's a lot riding on it. Everton don't go in on the back of a decent display, to be fair, mate. Chelsea gone against Everton. Was it a great Chelsea performance or a lacklustre, poor Everton display?
It was a little bit of both, you know, like Chelsea on, you know, at this point, I barely think they're Champions League ready, you know. So to say that and say, like, they're on a little bit of a high right now. So, yeah, they played well. I mean, I have the argument that the Liverpool-Chelsea game, it could have been 5-0. But that's due to Liverpool being so poorly, not Chelsea playing that well, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't the same Liverpool, was it? They were probably... There's the repercussions of a couple of results, yeah.
They've been off. I mean, they've been sloppy.
Like
I
said, they're not the same Liverpool as last season. They've been sloppy since day one.
They've taken the foot off the gas, I guess, because, I mean, I think they can win it now without winning another game, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I take a little bit of pride in saying that, like, I mean, I know they only put, like, the average age for the first game they lost against Villa all season. The average age for the team was 19 years old when the first team was out winning that ridiculous cup. What is it, the Club World Cup or whatever?
Something like that against Flamengo.
Yeah, so I honestly take pride in saying that. Like, I mean, we have a few players missing, so this was Liverpool's first real defeat, you know, of the season.
Well, Watford. What do you mean
Jesus
first real?
Christ, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
yeah.
Take it back.
Yeah,
first real defeat in the FA Cup.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
What do you think, though? So there's a few talking points. I mean, we'll skip around a bit here, but we've got Chelsea-Everton. We'll get to Gilmore in a second, but just one thing to revisit that we spoke about last week is we talked about Giroud playing and how you couldn't play a 4-2-3-1 with Giroud up top because you don't have those high and wide wingers that you need for the ball to be crossed in.
Yeah.
Frank Lampard listened to 5 Pints In last week and played Willian and Pedro and Giroud in the middle.
Me a shout out as well.
Exactly. So clearly he's tuning in, and it worked. I mean, it makes sense. You've got a tall number 9.
He's figuring out too late, and it's been obvious since the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least he's figured it out. You know, now we're actually Chelsea have to prove something within these last 9 games now. 9 games, I believe, and now we actually have to prove something, and we finally picked up. So I have no complaints. You know, 4-0 against the not so good Everton side.
Well, But you can't say not so good Everton side. It was a not so good Everton performance because that they were unfortunate the week before not to take the points against Man United at home, who are now, I think, 10 games unbeaten. And I do have to bring up something I heard today was 10 games unbeaten. Okay, Everton should have beat them last week. They were still men and boys against Man City.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Two goalkeeping mistakes, which we won't even pick up on because
we should
actually
we should.
Well, no. What I'm saying, mate, is to actually have a go at that keeper after everything he's done.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
The only reason I wanted to bring it up was because, like, credits to Edison again, that it's been a month of keepers messing up, and in my opinion, the best keeper in the world on the planet because of his versatility and what he can do with the ball. Like I argued, like he should just maybe one game play defensive mid. Even that keeper messed up, and I think he's the best.
Yeah,
of the
but then
best.
City would have to play with Bravo in goal, and I don't think Bravo has ever saved a shot.
Well, listen, look. The first one was a little bit similar to Pickford's the week before, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was it was weaker, and it was actually a worse mistake than the second one, in my eyes, because the second one he's just looking to play, and that's what he does. The 1-0 down,
and it's raining,
and he's looking to get it forward as quick as he possibly can, which is what he's brilliant at.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
to be fair though, it wasn't with his feet, was it? He threw it out, so he's better with his feet.
On a slippery surface. But look, if he'd have put that down and launched it forward, what was it, the 96th minute?
Yeah.
If he'd have put it down on the floor and launched it forward,
the whistle.
I think the problem he had was he was out to the right side of his box and he threw it across himself.
Yeah.
Which even as kids growing up, you're told not to pass square.
Yeah, but you can complain Mendy wasn't out quick enough,
Well, the floor was slippery as well.
Yeah,
I mean that sounds like a weird
yeah.
excuse too, but I mean, you can't blame him. I mean, you can't blame him. He's such a good keeper.
I
don't think he'll ever do anything like this again.
No,
I mean,
look, you can't blame him.
Yeah.
Can't blame Pep's tactics.
No.
At the end of the day, no De Bruyne. I think
Halfway
Aguero.
through the week
My question is, like, you're 1-0 down and you take the man off who scored 22 goals in 22 starts, and he still he puts one away and is offside with the smallest of margins again, albeit when the VAR showed it was offside. But
yeah, I mean his chest was. I think his chest.
Yeah, but
he's
he's tucked away the only real chance that they'd created. Why do you take him off when you're 1-0 down?
Yeah, I mean his finish as well was insane for that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was quality. But my issue is taking him out the game again.
Yeah,
he has a thing about taking him out the game.
He kept saying, he was like, last season, the season before, Pep kept saying he can only play Aguero and Jesus together when Mendy's fit, right? So because Mendy bombs on down the left side, and now Mendy's fit, and it's like he still doesn't want to play them together.
I think maybe using incorporating Sane with that.
No, how would you incorporate Sane with that when you've got Mendy down the left? Where would Sane play? I think
just as in like he's got that extra.
I just think. I mean, I won't question Pep because I mean he's incredible, but
you can't. Yeah.
It just play.
Is Mendy fit? Well, is he just fit or is he match fit? I don't think he's match fit. There's a difference.
That's true.
He's fit that he's not hurt anymore, but is he match fit? But the thing for me, look. That result doesn't bother me in the slightest. The fact that they want to celebrate like they do. Okay, they beat us 3 times this season, which is no mean feat at all, to be fair. And I think in one of them they really deserved it. But if they want to celebrate being bedded in at Old Trafford, which is what they do anyway, the point I was going to get to was Solskjaer's interview where he said, "Yeah, we're improving," and the words he came out with was, "Yeah, we are improving, but we're Man United." Is that even a saying anymore?
What? Yeah, I mean, what is he?
I don't even believe we are Man United. That's not even a saying anymore, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, when he gave an interview as well, and he said when he first got to the club, meaning when he got there as a player, City weren't anything. It wasn't a rivalry, and he said now he feels it, but like. now you're past it. You know,
Yeah, you've gone
it's
way
like,
the other way.
It's like as you know, City fans. Yeah, we love going against Man United, but I mean, we've got bigger fish to fry. You know, like. It's. Yeah. I mean, I know. A 2-0 loss at Old Trafford is not great. But
I mean, look, they love playing on a Thursday so much they even play their FA Cup games there now.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't talk. Let's not waste our breath on them. By the way,
no,
it's not worth it. Never is.
No.
And look, Con. This shows how bad Chelsea have been. Is that they're now going to be your closest rivals for that fourth spot? It looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
it's been so stale from 3 down, hasn't it? The league has been so stale. You're more or less wishing Wolves or Sheffield United just to come out and put a spanner in the works.
I mean, look at Sheffield United; they keep winning. I said this the first episode. I said I love how they play with the overlapping centre backs, and it's still working. You know, it's still. I mean, not much more to say about it, but they just keep doing the same thing.
Okay, well, listen. Let's move on. There's something this week about the EFL Cup. I know David Moyes had something to say, which is obviously coming from the West Ham manager, which is one of our topics being the clubs that I played for.
Yeah.
What was that about, Jordy?
So they're talking about a British Cup, right? They're talking about...
Sounds good to me, mate.
Yeah, well, then we can move on.
Yeah, I don't know anyone that will come with it. Yeah.
So, they're talking about England, Scotland, Wales... I can't remember if they're talking about Northern Ireland or not, but they're including. I mean, either way, it's just getting Rangers and Celtics up in the mix.
And I think it would help Championship teams. I think they're the only 3 it would benefit.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Scottish football, like Celtic and Rangers were so big back in the day. It's like, could that revive them playing against these top English teams? I mean, not to talk down about the Scottish Premier League because
Aberdeen were big in the day as well. They did well in Europe.
But there's a lot of teams. Would they attract more players if they were getting on these stages of where, like, say you had away at Arsenal, away at City, away at Liverpool? You know what I mean? I mean, it's
Celtic United's got to be a huge game.
Exactly. Yeah. So would it revive that rivalry?
I think it's a good idea, really do.
Yeah, I love it.
And just to note as well, it would be instead of the League Cup or the Man City Cup.
Yeah,
Man City Cup. Yeah,
we'd be happy to win the British Cup.
They'd still win it again.
Yeah, but it would be some tough competition. It would give a dynamism to the league, to football, to British football. It would integrate. I mean, it's.
Have you been reading this week, mate?
I try.
Dynamism, good word. That must be word of the week.
I didn't even know that was a word.
I don't know why you. I mean, I did get an English degree. I don't know why I get called out about my words every week.
You are English.
Yeah, I came to America to get an English degree.
It shouldn't be that difficult, should it?
Finding the loopholes, But I think it would be good. I think it would be good for just British football in general. I mean, the Welsh teams. Most of the big ones play in the English system anyway, but I think it would really benefit Rangers and Scotland, and I mean maybe Aberdeen again.
Yeah, you got Hearts and Hibs, and
I mean, could you imagine Steven Gerrard's Rangers against Liverpool? I mean, I'd like to see that.
It would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You got Nearly Lennon at Celtic as well.
Yeah.
He's played for a number of English clubs.
And also, I think it would spread. I think it would spread the awareness internationally as well. Like, because I mean, over here in America, like the Premier League's growing massively. You meet people all the time who are, City fans, Arsenal fans, United fans, etc., Chelsea fans. You'd probably get more of those Celtic Rangers fans as well, and not that, I mean. Some of them, it doesn't go down to the heart as it does if you're from the actual area, but I think it would spread the brand really well. And, if you got, again, Celtic playing against Liverpool, someone who doesn't like Liverpool, and they see it.
And what I'm interested in, has there been a reaction from Scotland, from any representatives of the clubs up there?
I haven't seen, but they're in talks about it. Like, it's not...
Yeah, the only way I can see them shutting it down is business-wise, which I don't know anything about, and them because I mean, you look at Celtic, they've won everything the last 10 years, like everything they could possibly win in Scotland in the last 10 years. So maybe they want to be like Juventus and coast off that, maybe they want a bigger challenge.
Yeah, but it's not just up to them. They'll take it.
I know,
take
but
it to a vote. Wouldn't
I
they?
know, but it's like La Liga, how Barcelona and Madrid bring in the most money. So it's like they literally asked Barcelona or Madrid, like, "Are you okay with this?"
All right, with that being said, let's jump to... we had an email question that really stood out to us. We really appreciate you writing in. This one is from Andy Brady. And he basically says, enjoys listening to the podcast. As a City fan, he's wondering Ian's thoughts regarding the potential of the players at the club when he joined in '89. Ian, do you feel like having the likes of you, White, Lake, Brightwell, Inchcliffe, had you been supported by better senior players, would the club have gone on to achieve significant successes? And he says, for example, the class of '92 at United were supported by Cantona, Ince, Hughes, Bruce, etc. He feels that those City guys, you, White, Lake, etc., if you had similar senior players, you would have won multiple caps and achieved many honours in the game. A two-part question. So there's that, and then also, how did it feel for you when City came back in? Did you feel you had unfinished business at City, given the brevity of your first spell? So,
okay. Firstly, what does brevity mean?
how short it was.
I'm joking, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks. I did get an English degree, you know.
Yeah, well, that's why you've got me on the podcast.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Well, to be fair, I was actually one of the older players at the time, because, I mean, you've read a number of names out there: David White, Ian Brightwell, Andy Inchcliffe, Paul Lake. Missed out Stevie Redmond, who was quality centre half, and what a great lad he was as well. But they were the mainstay of the England under-21s at the time. So they'd had a lot of experience playing together on a league basis as youngsters. They all came through the youth system together and at international level. And I was 24, I think, when I arrived. So although I wasn't, you know, as you say, a veteran at the time, I was three years older than them. So I was, you know, one of the older ones. And I think our average age was bumped up by the likes of, I think it was Paul Cooper who played in goal at the time. And I remember he did in the Manchester derby, but because what you have to realise is my first spell, it was only 5 months at Man City. I managed to get another manager fired in 5 months. It only took me 3 months after I left and went to West Ham to get Lou Macari fired. So I was quite good at that. But at the end of the day, them lads, we had older players. Neil McNabb, who for me was a quality midfield player. You know, I grew up watching the likes of Glenn Hoddle at Tottenham, and Neely was a Tottenham player in that Tottenham side with Glenn alongside them. So he helped me no end, and I tried to pass that on to the likes of Brighty and Davy White and Reddo, and you know, ended up I wasn't that far, that much detached from them age-wise, that we all became friends, but it was too short-lived in my eyes, and I really was put in a position in leaving that once the manager had accepted the deal which Lou Macari had asked for me. I think Howard, when he told me, he said he wanted Mark Ward but didn't have any money, and Peter Swales, the chairman at the time, said, no, we can't give you any money. Howard said to Lou Macari, who do you want? And Lou said, me, and obviously Trevor Morley was part of the package. And funny enough, being at West Ham, when I actually sat down with Lou, and I said to him, well, how did it all come about? He said, well, I didn't want Mark Ward to leave. And he said, if I brought up a name that I thought Howard Kendall would say no to, then he'd get to keep Mark Ward. But unfortunately, when he brought up my name, which he thought would be the name that Howard would say no to, Howard said yeah. So once I found out that the manager was prepared to let me go, I really couldn't stay, right. Even though it was heartbreaking. The deal, ridiculously enough, good a friend Trev is to me, and Wardy has become a great friend of mine as well. Yeah. I'm going to be seeing him at the weekend at the West Ham game.
He went to Everton, didn't he?
Oh, he started at Everton, mate. I think he was a semi-pro at Everton, and then he ended up going back to Everton when Howard ended up leaving City and going back to Everton. He took a few of the lads.
I remember talking to him about that. He's a lovely guy.
Yeah. Well. I mean, funny enough, the first time, there was only one time, and it wasn't so long ago. I think it was at Andy King's funeral at Goodison. It was the first time that me, Howard, and Wardy had been in the same room since 1989 when the deal happened, and we got to talking about it, and Howard had said, Bish, I didn't really want you to go. He thought I'd be the perfect foil for Wardy. If he could bring Wardy, get some money off the chairman, bring Wardy, I would be the perfect foil. Now, where I don't know, but that was the first time we'd all been in the same room in, got 30 years? But it was fairly nice to hear, the sort of, because once you move, once you get out of that system, the thing was, it took going back to once Howard had agreed to let me go, it took sort of 2 weeks, maybe roundabout, for the deal to go through. Howard's first game in charge was Everton away, and that was the one I'd been waiting for since I signed for City, got myself back into the top flight. I was thinking, because I grew up there and I sort of cut my teeth at Everton and made my debut under Howard, couldn't wait for Everton away, and it was his first game, and he puts me on the bench. So I felt the writing was sort of on the wall anyway. Yeah. Because I remember saying to Lakey when we heard Howard was coming back, it's been nice knowing you. And Lakey went, no, not in a million years. There's no way this club's going to let you go. And then within 2 weeks, I'm wearing a West Ham kit, or 3 weeks, whatever it was. So it was one of them things. The position we were in the league, the club had got promoted that year, and then I'd signed for them after they'd gone up. Obviously, 5 months wasn't long enough for me. It all happened too fast. We did have the Manchester derby where I sort of, got the third goal and sort of set myself as a fan favourite, you might say.
It's funny, because just to interrupt, sorry. Just to interrupt. It's funny because Andy also says, keep up the great work and thanks for all the memories, Ian, especially that header.
And then he makes a joke about
against Luton.
It's funny because people say I didn't score headers, but I scored the header against Man U. The week later, we beat Luton 3-1. I scored a header again. People really don't. I'm surprised he remembered that, to be fair.
Yeah.
Does he make reference about coming back again?
No. Back to City?
Yeah.
Yeah. He asks, how did it feel when you came back? Did you feel you had unfinished business when you got back there, considering?
I think when it came about, I think I was 32.
It was Royal that signed you, right?
Joe Royal, yeah, mate. Yeah, he's a quality man. But, I'd had 9 years at West Ham. They'd offered me 1 more year to give me a testimonial. And it would have been lucrative for me.
Of leaving before your testimonial.
Yeah, I know, mate.
It's a huge cash grab for most players. Yeah,
it is, mate. It would have been.
If you don't donate to charity like most players do nowadays, because they're on the multimillionaires anyway. But
we'd have our microphones would be a little better on the podcast today if you would have played.
Probably wouldn't be would have started business. What are you complaining about?
Just kidding.
No, anyway, I fully support, even though I was.
So what you're trying to say is you would have had more stuff. You'd have probably have had nicer
cars. No, not because of one game.
Yeah. No.
One game. That was more than that.
It's a joke.
It's a whole year. It's a whole year of functions and golf days.
No,
and
I know, but look, you go back.
You
go back to City though, and then the Wembley final against Gillingham. I mean, that's something I'm proud to say I was at, you know?
Yeah, you was, mate. Well, which sort of cemented you as a City fan, I think. But,
Exactly.
but going back just before that, my conversation with Harry Redknapp, he went to me, we give it a year, but don't have a whole year, just have a game. And so he was more or less saying to me, don't have £250,000, which probably what I would have made with the dinners and galas and golf days and days out. And I said, well, why would you say that? And he went, well, because you're going to get the players drunk every week. And I thought, well, we were drunk every week anyway. What's the difference?
Just be on your tab.
It will just be on my tab, yeah, probably, mate, yeah. But so we sort of agreed, or we didn't agree. He'd offered me the year as if like he was doing me a favour, and it was my club. It wasn't his club. I'd been there 9 years, you know.
Yeah.
I really didn't feel it was for him to judge and have a say over my future at my club. But I made the agreement with him on the training field that, okay, if that's the way you feel, then if I find myself a club, will you waiver any transfer fee? And he said, well, is that what you want? I said, well, then you don't have to put up with me getting your players drunk for a year. You don't have to put up with me being a pain in your arse, which I would have been. And you know, I'll be happy, you'll be happy. And I think at that time he didn't believe that I would go through with it, maybe. But look, at the end of the day, as soon as I heard Man City, I was done. Like I said, as soon as I heard Howard was prepared to let me go, you know, that season with Harry, he'd had me on the bench 23 games, I think, and I got on the field 3 times. And for me, it was more about playing football. It wasn't about the money. It never was about the money for me. Football was never about money. Yeah. I wanted to play, and look, at the end of the day, it was Man City, and I didn't care what division they were in. The division they were going in 5 games later, and the unfinished business thing, which Andy states on his question, was I said that in the press at the time. The reason I came back, I have unfinished business. I had a rapport with the Man City fans, and it was all too short. I did love my time there. I left, like I said, because I heard the manager was prepared to let me go, not because I wanted to leave. I often think that if I'd have stayed, you know, Howard left probably 9 months later. If I'd have still been there, would I have seen my 10 years at Man City? I think I probably would have, you know.
But there goes West
you know,
Ham.
hindsight, you know, I wouldn't have swapped my time at West Ham for anything. Exactly. But I had the opportunity to go back. And people say never go back. Well, that's bullshit, because I went back and we got 2 promotions on the spin. Yeah. And I played a part in getting the club back to a situation where they were able to go on and do what they've done today. And the beauty of it is the Man City fans recognise that.
Yeah.
And they look upon us as being the people that turned it round. And there's no nicer feeling, you know. I wasn't one of them players that got fortunate enough to be in a top team that was challenging for trophies or Europe. But when I look back and say, I never left any club on bad terms. I'm now invited back to the 4 clubs this weekend, 4 Premier League clubs that I played for. I will find time to go to a Carlisle game. Maybe not this season. You know, it's a bit difficult from the States, but I will find time to go. The fact is I'm invited back and I'm welcomed by the supporters, which for me is everything. You can't buy that, you know. And a funny thing was, when I was back at Man City and I was doing City Square, I spoke to one of the fans before I went on the stage, and he went, "You was with us in the bad times." And I went, "Oh," and I thought for a minute, and I went, "Well, not really, because I never had any bad times there." The first time I had the Manchester derby, and then the second time when I went back, we had the 2 promotions on the spin. And they actually asked me that question on the stage, and I actually called the fan out.
Well, it's all perspective, isn't it? I mean, the view from here makes it look like bad times, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a romantic story, isn't it?
I mean, I've been wanting to bring up Foden about how, like,
Yeah, Foden Phil Foden posted a picture of us on his Instagram. We mentioned this last week about how he watched.
Yeah, but
it's
a lovely story about how like he grew up and he's been a Man City fan before. Like, I mean, similar with me, you know, like before the money came into his club. Except he gets to go and play with all those amazing
ridiculous
players.
I must admit, talking to the both here, like, I mean, I don't want to be too sentimental, but I wish you'd have been older. I wish you'd have been able to see more. I wish you'd been able to feel what I felt. And I know you do when you come back with me when we go to games. I know there's a certain, like, you know, a certain euphoria, but it's nice now after the fact. I just, you know, I wish you'd have been there more often or been a little bit older when it was really happening, you know. I know you talk about Wembley, Geordie, and people say what was the best moment of you being at City, and I did mention in an interview that, you know, it was. I told the story after that. I don't know if you remember. He was only young, but when we were all together having lunch the day after, I had to jump on a train. And I left you in London. I jumped on a train, went back to see the boys and have a barbecue with the lads to celebrate. But I said probably the best moment was looking up in the stands and seeing you there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
it was something else.
I remember the feeling. I mean, I think I was 7 or something like that, maybe 6 or 7. I remember the feeling, and it was weird, you know? It was like...
Yeah,
I did bump into somebody once, and they said they were at Wembley that day. And what I did after the game, I took my boots off and threw them into the crowd.
Yeah,
and a guy come up to me, I think it was in a pub, and he went, "I need a word with you." I said, "What?" He went, "That Wembley playoff final." I went, "Yeah, what?" He went, "You hit me on the head with one of your boots." He said, "I wouldn't complain, but I didn't even get to keep it. Somebody else picked it up."
Wow.
See, I mean, you say about like how we weren't there and all that, like, you know, for the best parts of the year. But I mean, especially being in America, the main thing people ask me when they say when they find out that you're a professional footballer and that you play for Man City was, and they ask me and they go, "Oh, did you ever meet David Beckham?" And I go, the one thing, I actually walked by him once when I was like 3 years old or 4 years old. But the only reason I remember that is because I remember the game. And it wasn't because I was so focused on David Beckham. I was so focused on the game, and it was just at half time that we brushed by him, that it was just like, whatever, you know, like that's who it was. And I remember at half time he ended up actually kneeling on the pitch. He never actually went inside, and all the Man City fans were throwing stuff at him just because, you know, he was being David Beckham at the time. And, you know, I didn't care about that. I didn't care about David Beckham no matter what good stuff he went on to do, but it was all about the game. And the only reason I remember about seeing David Beckham was because I remember that game so perfectly well, and I remember enjoying the game so much, you know. And like, I didn't care. He wasn't a superstar to me. It was going and seeing and enjoying that game. Even I wasn't even a City fan then. I wasn't a Man City fan. I was like, I love what's going on, you know.
Yeah. All right, men. Well, look. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
I think we've got a lot of content there for Andy.
I think so. Thank you so much, Andy, for writing in. And if anyone else, if anyone else has any other questions, you know, you can always email in at 5pintsin@gmail.com. You can write in at the Twitter at 5pintsin. We've also got the Instagram set up. Connor, how do they reach us on Instagram? It's the handle is 5pintsin.podcast, I think.
Correct, yeah.
So you can
it a few times,
you can write us there. There's content on there. We're not ending just yet, but just to, while we're on the track, also make sure you listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you're on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating if you think we deserve it. Don't give us a 1-star rating if you think we deserve that. But yeah, so let's take a minute. We're gonna look ahead at the weekend fixtures coming up. Today, as the podcast comes out, we've got Red Bull Leipzig versus Tottenham Hotspur. Leipzig are 1-0 up. What is the story with this one? I mean, we were talking earlier about maybe Mourinho's under pressure. I don't think he is. I think with Kane and Son being injured, like, how could he be under pressure? If he's under pressure, then Lampard's under the same pressure. We won't trail off, but I'm just saying it's a good excuse, isn't it?
I mean, I can butt in really quick and just say Mourinho doesn't have the pressure like a Chelsea manager has. You know, he's not under that pressure anymore. He doesn't have Abramovich breathing down his neck saying, if you don't give me a silverware this season, you're fired, you know. So I think he has a little more leeway, and especially with his 2 top goal scorers out of the picture, you know.
I agree.
Yeah,
but
the only thing about that is, I mean, Frank being a young manager and fresh, first season, you know, the transfer embargo, for them to qualify will be a bigger feat than Tottenham doing it. I think Mourinho being an established manager who's won the biggest trophies in the game,
a special one.
I think there is a pressure,
but he's had his legs taken away from him. Like, you've got Harry Kane injured and you've got Heung-min Son injured. I mean, who do you play? I mean, you played Lucas. Yeah, fine, and he's a great player, but he's obviously, I mean, he's not going to score the goals Harry Kane scores.
Nah, he's relying on.
But it isn't just that. It isn't just that for me, because look, if you've got your attacking line missing, you still should be the same until you get there. You still should be putting in the performances at the back and in the midfield,
right,
and creating things. If other players are up there, they don't finish like Son, they don't finish like Kane. That's understandable,
right?
But they're not getting to that point, are they?
No, they're not. They're not part. So Jose Mourinho's driving that bus that you took from the airport to the budget car park, because he's clearly not parking the bus at Tottenham. Because I mean, the game they lost against Norwich, was it during the week in the FA Cup when they got knocked out? So
it's amazing.
Yeah, and then Eric Dyer jumps over the advertising boards and runs up the stairs, the stands to try and fight a guy that was messing with his brother. I mean, I love how
allegedly.
Well, he 100% jumped over the boards and ran up the stands.
I know that. We've seen the pictures.
Yeah.
Of that, but
what do you think of that? I respect that. I mean, I've got my brother sitting here in front of me. If anyone was talking shit about me, I'd hope he'd defend me, and then I'd run up and defend him, you know, or vice versa.
I still think.
What are you talking in a pub? In a pub, yeah, fine, but
I think it's instinct, though. It doesn't matter.
Of course it is.
If you can come to the game, you're not like, you know, it's not like your say is valid. You know, I still think Cantona should be compensated. You know, even though he did take his boot to someone's chest, you know, I still think he did the right thing.
Well, that's different.
Even though, no. You do, no. If you go back and then
I'm saying family instinct.
If you want to
with
compare
Eric Dyer,
no,
but you don't compare it though. Do you?
But you talk about the abuse. You're getting abuse all of a sudden, like all this all the time.
Yeah.
You know,
but like the thing is, Eric Dyer would probably take the abuse, but he wouldn't take his brother getting in a fight with the fan,
enough.
Which I can really
Mourinho
respect.
And he says it 20 times in a row. He says, as a person, he should have done exactly what he did.
Right.
But as a professional, he shouldn't have done it. But then he reiterates and says, but as a person, he should have done what he did.
Yeah,
you know,
what if his brother
was saying, like,
what if his brother was getting his head smashed in? I mean, the guy was a little shithead, you know, like,
and he's running away from
Dyer, giving him the finger, like the guy.
Mourinho's saying it without saying it, saying, you
like,
know what?
Dyer's,
I wish I could have.
Dyer's lucky he didn't catch him, but I wish Dyer would have decked him.
I know the first video I saw, I thought he was punching him, and I was so happy. I was like, and I mean, you know, I'm a Chelsea fan, and I'm not all for Spurs, and I don't think, Dyer's the best player in the world, but I was like, you know what? If a fan's getting what he deserves, then that's fine with me. But he didn't end up hitting him. The video was blurry and all that, but Mourinho ends up backing him,
And then he plays him against Burnley, which is great, but he plays him at centre-back, which was a little strange.
Yeah,
because he went to park the bus, and then... the bus...
Don't hit you. You don't hit a fan, otherwise you're going to play a centre-back.
Anyway, enough of that.
Well, but no, on the same sort of subject, though, Leipzig against Tottenham. So, Mourinho was talking about Ndombele not giving it his all against Burnley.
No, he wasn't.
Well, he said
he didn't name him at all.
He said it. He said, "Yeah, it's no name Bele. What's his name?" Yeah. He said it was one of two players, and it wasn't Oliver Skip.
Right, okay.
So anyway, Tottenham play Leipzig. What do you think? Are they coming back 1-0 down? They're away from home. No. Leipzig with the away goal.
No, they were dominated in the game at home, possession-wise, chances-wise.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see that happening. You know, they'll. Well, you can't even say they'll look for a repeat of the Ajax game last season because it's not the same team.
No.
But
Lucas could play.
There's not 3 goals to get. There's only 1, but I just don't see them doing it.
No, it is the same team. No Kane. I'm pretty sure Son wasn't in that game. He might have been, and Lucas was their outlet, and he more than performed. He scored a hat-trick.
I'm pretty sure the team in itself has changed a little bit, mate. Without them players.
Yeah. Like look at them pushing Vertonghen out
same
to left
back line. Yeah, similar back line.
They're scared.
So that takes us to Wednesday anyway. We've got a few games. One big talking point is PSG against Dortmund is being played behind closed doors because of the coronavirus. Now, is that because PSG don't want them Dortmund fans? I mean, we were at the Dortmund City game back in, 2011 at the Etihad.
Amazing, mate.
Yeah. And they don't stop back. There's like a trampoline under their feet.
That was one of the best atmospheres of any game I've been to.
My favourite fans ever.
Connor's got a lot of favourite.
No. I'm talking about actually witnessing
them.
5,000 fans in the Etihad were louder than anyone else, and they were on a trampoline.
They were on a trampoline the whole time.
Minutes.
So PSG have said we're playing behind closed doors. PSG are actually down. 2-1. So I mean, smart move by PSG. All jokes aside, I mean, it's because of the coronavirus or whatever, but. I mean, it might help PSG. I don't know.
I see Dortmund scoring. I'll tell you that.
No, I think Neymar needs a crowd for his Instagram followers.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. So then that same day we've got Liverpool Atletico, and I like to say this, but Liverpool are 1-0 down. Atletico are going to park the bus. Simeone's going to play.
They did their own, didn't they? They did a Man United.
Scored early.
It's at Anfield,
I know, but. Even so, what they did in the home leg, they looked like the away team, didn't they? They got everyone behind the ball and tried to hit them on the break. Look, Liverpool are vulnerable, I think, recently. Even before, weeks before, like I said last week, Watford could have broke them down. Southampton could have broke them down. West Ham recently could have broke them down. Now, if Atletico go for it, and do get a goal at Anfield, it could cause problems.
Yeah, I mean Bournemouth went 1-0 up.
I think Liverpool are going to pummel them. It was.
I don't think
Liverpool destroyed. They made Atletico look like a team that should be in Europa League or should.
I would like Liverpool. I would actually like Liverpool to pummel them because I don't like Simeone and I can't. Yeah. I can't stand Diego Costa. Whether he plays or he doesn't play. I don't like the fact that a team that have been in, 3 of the last 5 years, they've been in European finals, is it? Con, you'd have to check that. Whether it was the Europa League they won, and then he was in... Two Champions League finals. I know in recent years, for them to play the way they did, it's Liverpool. They are supposedly the best team in Europe right now. But to show that sort of fear on your own ground,
exactly.
For the whole game, to watch Simeone try and G the crowd up,
exactly.
It's sickening to me. I hope
it's a performance. It's a performance.
I hope Liverpool kicked their arse.
All I will say too is Alisson's injured, isn't he? And Robertson's injured.
I don't think. I didn't know.
Yeah, Robertson didn't play last weekend.
I don't think.
Well, they might not have a shot on goal anyway, so that might not make a difference.
That's what I was about to say. My problem with Atletico Madrid is, I I actually hate them more than any other team on this planet because what they do and what they did. Like what they did against...
You're doing Man United an injustice there, mate.
No, you know what? I think I actually hate them more than Man United. Because what they do is they, like they did against Liverpool. I'm not saying they always score early, but they apply their pressure early and they scored. And then the rest of the game, they just dive, they cheat, but the thing is, what they do is they bring other teams in and they lower them down to their standard. I mean, you look at Henderson...
Yeah, which is typical Simeone.
Exactly. You look at Henderson, I mean, everyone at like the 60th minute started screaming and diving and cheating. And you saw Henderson and no one touched him. I wish VAR went along with this because he literally screamed at the top of his lungs. You heard it on the microphone and no one touched him. And it's because he's losing and he sees other people cheat. He sees the winning team is cheating.
Sounds like Bruno Fernandes against City.
Exactly. But Atletico Madrid do it best. And I hate that. And they've always been doing that. And I mean, they've been kind of a rival of Chelsea the last 8 years or so. And that's why I've noticed it more and more. And with the whole Felipe Luis, Diego Costa, everyone, going back and forth, Fernando Torres, obviously. I've noticed it more. So... they cheat more than any other team on this planet, and I absolutely hate it. Sorry, I had to get that across. Yeah.
So let's look at the Champions League. It's just hopefully we'll get 50% of the English teams through because the following week, obviously it's going to be City, Madrid, Chelsea, Bayern, who are sort of done. Tottenham I feel are done. Let's hope Liverpool kick their arse. But don't forget that City play Arsenal. Arsenal in the Premier League as well on the Wednesday. I'm just going to say I think City are the only English team going through.
I think the Champions League set up perfectly for City to win it.
I think City are the only English team going through, and I think City could beat any of these other teams. Yeah,
Barca are down.
Yeah.
PSG are down.
No, Barca are 1-1, aren't they?
Oh, 1-1. All right, still against Napoli. Yeah, still. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, sorry. But
it's probably the only other team to fear. Anyway, and you can miss them in the draw.
Suarez,
Yeah, you can miss them in the draw.
Don't worry, they got the new signing that they stole. So.
Oh, Martin Braithwaite. We still need to talk about him, but we'll save it till the next episode. Yeah. Anyway, so City Arsenal on Wednesday. That is a rescheduled game at the Etihad.
Can you believe people are saying now Liverpool will win the title at Everton if City lose their next two games? What are you thinking?
Burnley, yeah.
Arsenal and Burnley. What are you thinking, really? To even come up with that statement.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be at the Everton Liverpool game, so that's the last thing I want to see.
Yeah.
Liverpool
as beautiful as
seal the title as at Goodison Park.
But
yeah, but we could have won the title against United 2 seasons ago, couldn't we? And we didn't do it. So
it's not going to happen anyway. But
no.
Okay, so the games of the weekend, like we've said, we've talked about the Champions League and the qualifications there, and we touched on Solskjaer saying United are now up there 10 unbeaten, the closest rivals to Chelsea for the fourth spot. Chelsea have languished on that fourth position for weeks and weeks now, and I get the feeling that somebody's going to catch them. I
think that's okay, though. I still think that's more than what Lampard... I said this last week.
Yeah,
it's more than what we expected, but he's coasting now. I don't think he's in any trouble.
I don't think he's coasting.
He's not in any trouble. He's not in any trouble.
No. All right, yeah, you're right. He's coasting.
But the excitement is down the bottom, isn't it? The excitement is down the bottom. If we look at the fixtures down there, the big games this weekend. I don't know if you've got the
Bournemouth,
Saturday.
Bournemouth play Palace on Saturday.
Bournemouth Palace, I'm going to be at the Bournemouth game on the Saturday. I've got my marathon football-a-thon. I've got Bournemouth Palace on the Saturday. There was talk about would the game be switched for whatever reason. I hope not, because if it's switched, it would have been switched to the Sunday. But I'm committed to go and watch West Ham Wolves, which is another massive game.
That's a huge game.
West
Ham and
Tottenham United on
West
Sunday
Ham home, sorry.
Norwich, Southampton. I think Norwich could actually turn them over and drag Southampton into it.
You've got Newcastle, Sheffield as well.
Yeah, Newcastle had a good win at Southampton.
But Sheffield, I think they'll beat them.
Yeah,
well,
they're just so consistent.
Yeah.
Villa Chelsea is the 5:30 game, Con.
Yeah.
Not for you, obviously, over there. It'll be the 12:30 game, won't it?
1:30 because our clocks went forward.
1:30. No, it's the 4 hours now. Yeah, with the daylight savings.
Even though Leicester just beat them 4-0 and Chelsea are on a nice little run.
Jack Grealish scores a hat trick.
Yeah, right. yeah.
Really?
I'd make a big bet against that.
I would.
I'd make a
if
big
Jack Grealish scores a hat trick, we have to record the podcast.
I'd make a big bet that he doesn't shed a tear. I honestly don't even. I'm not even betting that Chelsea will even win that game. You know, I have that little faith. No. As well of a run that they've been on, they're not a team to trust.
Sounds like that fifth beer is kicking in, son.
No, that's more like that seventh.
They're not
a team. Wasn't he a Russian player?
Yeah. They're not a team to trust, and I'm hoping for the best every single game. I'm not going in confident. These last 9 games, I would not bet on any of these last 9 Chelsea games.
Well, Chelsea need to win, mate, because they need to do West Ham and Bournemouth a favour by keeping Villa down there. You've got Watford at home to Leicester, which I think, what they did against Liverpool at home, I think Watford will be strong at home. They could turn Leicester over, put a spanner in the works. Brighton at Arsenal. Can't trust Arsenal, to be fair, to go and take points down at Brighton. Brighton nicked a good draw at Wolves last weekend, which I didn't see the game, but anybody going to Wolves these days and getting a point, it's decent.
Yeah, you've got City, Burnley. I mean, City or City, 3-4-0.
It's a nothing game, that, mate, isn't it? It's a sort of nothing game.
Exactly.
I mean, I think we've
Burnley
all
on in danger, yeah.
No, we've all accepted we're going to finish second, and Pep's concentrating on the Champions League. So that's a sort of nothing game. It won't be a nothing game to the players, obviously. No. But, City will go out and do what City do. Like I say, Newcastle, Sheffield United, the Sunday.
West Ham Wolves, Spurs United.
That's it, yeah. Spurs United, obviously that may impact the Champions League places, but I really don't care about that game and who wins that. No.
Monday
and who doesn't.
Yeah, and then Monday you're at Goodison Park for Liverpool.
Monday I'm at the Merseyside derby, like I said. Apparently the tickets are as rare as rocking horse shit. That's what my mate told me when he said he couldn't get them.
And if you could ever describe a Scouse game as much as that, the tickets are as rare as rocking horse shit. For anybody else outside of Liverpool.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, look
out for
Bournemouth
scalpers.
You just find some splinters on the floor and you'll be able to get a whole ticket together.
Yeah, so Bournemouth Saturday, West Ham Sunday, drive up to London, drive up to Liverpool Monday, and then hopefully it'll be a better weekend than this weekend. And then Tuesday it's the Etihad for Man City and Real Madrid.
But I don't want to get too much into that game because we will have another podcast out before then, so we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves.
I'm just excited that I'm going to be there.
It's funny how no matter whoever you are on this planet, everyone has to envy you and what you're going to watch right now. It doesn't matter whether you're the best manager in the world, you have the most money on the planet, you're not witnessing all these games that you're going.
No, I don't know if anybody else would do it, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little bit.
It's my 4 teams. They all happen to be. It's weird the way it's happened. They all happen to be at home this weekend, that I'm going to be, and I figured why not? I took a look at it. Can I get down to Bournemouth? Yes, I can. Can I drive an hour and a half back to London Sunday morning? Get there for the West Ham game. It'll give me, I think, it's 8 o'clock at Goodison, so I can get drunk with the West Ham lads that I used to play with after the game. I can sleep in, still have time to drive up to Liverpool, and then hopefully celebrating the Everton win out in Liverpool Town Centre, and then on a Tuesday, another sleep in, and go and watch City turn over Real Madrid again. It should be be a good 4 days. I hope it's a good 4 days.
I'm sure.
I'm not expecting anything less than 4 victories.
I'm not expecting you to sleep at all, to be fair.
You're not expecting what, mate?
I'm not expecting you to sleep at all.
Probably not. Yeah. Well, there's enough time for that.
There's some great games there, and make sure if you are out there, go swarm Ian as much as you can. Give him some questions, yell his name, mess up his hair, as we saw in that last video.
You got any tomatoes, throw them at him.
Don't mess up my hair, by the way. Don't touch my hair.
Those 3
don't touch his hair then. But yeah, I mean, this has been such a good episode. I just want to remind everyone to make sure they follow us on Twitter. Go to @5PintsIn. That's our Twitter handle. You can follow us on Instagram if you're a little more hip. It's 5pintsin.podcast. I don't know if that's an @ or if it's not, but go on Instagram and search 5pintsin. You'll find us there. Make sure you go on to the Apple podcast and listen to us there. Search 5pintsin and we'll show up. And make sure you give us 5 stars if you think we're worthy of it. Send in any questions to 5pintsin@gmail.com. You can send in those questions at Twitter as well. And Ian or Dad or whatever I call you.
we should have a dad count every time you say dad.
Thanks.
We should keep a count.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us on your podcast.
You're welcome.
It was a bitch to set up this audio, but we made it work.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. I'll have to figure out how I plug these cables in and unplug them the same way.
All right, mate.
Connor, thanks for joining me.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks for
He's
already out the door. I just had to let him know. Well, thanks for joining us this week. Make sure you listen and rate us, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
See ya.
Ta-da now.